How long were you out of your apprenticeship before you started on APM or your first FIFO?
So I finished my apprenticeship and
G'day, I'm Jason. Welcome back and to episode 13 of Fit for FIFO, where on this week's episode we meet Nick, who started working in FIFO at a young age, less than 12 months after finishing his apprenticeship. And in less than 4 months of his first FIFO gig, he was promoted to a leading hands position where he was in charge of 15 people, some of which had many more years experience than him and were older than his parents. Though, with his easygoing attitude, he was accepted and respected. Just a quick note, the sound quality is a bit poor for about 2 minutes, though hang in there as Nick has a lot of interesting things to share. So, let's go meet Nick. G'day Nick.
hey mate, how are you?
Good, welcome to Fit for FIFO.
Lovely.
Can you just tell us a bit about your position in the FIFO industry and what you do?
Sure. Well, I started off as an instrument technician on APLNG in 2014, and I was a technician there for about 3 or 4 months. Then got a promotion to a lead hand position, which is sort of the first leadership role I've had. So it's been a good learning curve for me.
Right.
Learned new things, I guess, over the past probably 2 years now.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
And how old are you now?
22.
22, right.
2 weeks till the 23rd birthday.
Ooh.
Spent my 21st at APLNG.
How long were you out of your apprenticeship before you started on APM or your first FIFO gig?
So I finished my apprenticeship, and all through my apprenticeship I was working with guys that had sort of done their apprenticeship in the same place.
Okay.
And they weren't permanent employees, but they'd come back for shutdowns and stuff like that, and they'd tell me about, all these FIFO jobs, and I'm making like $1,000 a week. So even when I was in my apprenticeship, I was like, fuck, I want to get amongst that. It sounds awesome,
Yeah.
So as soon as I finished my apprenticeship, I started looking out for roles and couldn't really find anything, and got with a contracting company, and I was with them for probably 6 months, and I saw this Bechtel job come up, and I registered my interest online, and tried and I couldn't get on.
Yeah.
And eventually it came to the point I had a contact out there, which was one of the guys that works in the team now.
Yeah.
And he sort of put in a good word for me and snuck in. So
Nice.
it was probably just under a year out of my apprenticeship before I got up there.
Yeah, right. And after you actually got your position, how long before you became a leading hand?
Probably, from memory, about 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, right. That's pretty quick.
In the early days I didn't need many leading hands, there wasn't much to do, we were kind of just sitting around waiting for the work to come, but I think once they realised I needed more leadership roles, and they looked around and promoted a few of us. So.
Yeah. And how did you feel about taking the leading hands position?
A bit nervous because I'm such a young guy,
Yeah.
and there's obviously guys in the team that are older than my dad, and not that you're telling people what to do, but sometimes you know what guys in this industry are like. They're some pretty rugged blokes.
Yeah.
So a young 21-year-old at the time telling a 60-year-old dude who's been in the game for 30 years, 40 years what to do was a bit nerve-wracking. But I've got the hang of it, You learn to be friendly with everyone, and you learn to read people and their personalities and how to treat them, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people just kind of leave to their own devices,
Yeah.
People that might be a bit sort of against a young person, telling them not how to do their job, but just giving them tasks and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
That was a good learning curve for me, learning how to treat different personalities.
Okay, yeah. Nice. And so as you said, you're a bit nervous going into the position as leading hand. And what are your thoughts on it now?
I'm pretty happy. I think grew a lot as a worker in my role, and I don't know. It's still, if I had to do it all again, I'd probably do it the same. Yep. I would have taken the position.
No.
And I think that'll help me in future roles as well. Having that on the resume. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm happy where I am. It's a good balance between kind of working in the field and working in an office, I guess.
Yeah.
How our leading hand roles are, they're a little bit different than a regular leading hand. A leading hand to me is someone who's always in the field and just, maybe helps out, speaks directly to the supervisor and that sort of stuff. But as we sort of, it's more towards the role of a supervisor, I guess.
Exactly.
You're finding the work for the guys, and you're speaking with engineering and doing all that sort of administrative stuff, I guess.
Yeah. What would you say to any other guys, like young guys out there that sort of think they're ready to be a leading hand, but they're maybe a bit nervous and they feel they don't have the confidence?
I'd say probably just roll with it.
Yeah.
You only regret the decisions you didn't take, which sounds pretty fucking, I guess cliche.
Yeah.
And a bit crummy for that sort of question, but I don't regret it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was a bit nervous and hesitant when I was first offered the position, but took it and ran with it, and I was happy with the outcomes.
Yeah, nice work.
Yeah, and I think you learn a lot more skills that you probably wouldn't have learned as a technician. Dealing with people. There's a lot of communication and stuff that goes on between different work groups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And people sort of try and tell you what to do. It's good you learn to kind of, like I said in the earlier questions, just learn how to communicate with different sort of people.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Being like younger and in a position, how do you deal with obviously sort of intimidating people, or like as you get them on every job, obviously, how do you deal with guys that might sort of try and overpower you or act like you're not confident for the position?
I don't know, I don't really get that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Before I might have sort of felt intimidated somewhat by older people that kind of look down on you as such.
Yeah.
Now I just see everyone's equal sort of thing. I don't give a fuck if you're the janitor or the CEO. I just speak to everyone the same, and don't change my way of communicating, I guess, with it doesn't matter who it is basically.
Yeah, just be yourself. Yeah, nice one. Something I should ask you before. How many at like sort of the peak of the job? How many blokes did you have working under you?
Probably got about 14 was the max,
Yeah,
which was a good number.
Yeah, that's still a few blokes to organise.
Yeah.
You you're pretty well known on the job for having a pretty good work-life balance. You do a lot of travel and get away a lot. Do you think it's still feasible to do this sort of work, have a good work-life balance, but still make more money than what you would like in the city?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yep. I guess being in these sort of roles really makes you appreciate your time off a lot more. When you're working 4 weeks on, 1 week off.
Yeah.
You've got to make the most of it, because otherwise you'll come back and you won't be refreshed. You've got to be able to get out and experience different things. But yeah, definitely I think you can have a lot of new experiences without spending a lot of money. A lot of the trips that I sort of go on in my R&R, I'm just going camping in my car and staying on the beach or doing anything like that. It's not expensive at all. You can have a good lifestyle. I guess it depends on what you like. Like if you want to go and spend money in a casino and stay in an expensive hotel, or it's going to cost you a shitload if you've got those sort of hobbies, I guess. But, for me, I just like going and getting away from everything. Staying on the beach, going full drive and camping, remote places, and that's what it's all about for me. Yeah, nice. With your experience you've got now from the time you've been in the industry, if there's one thing that could have helped you to get to where you are today, what would that thing be? That you could have known, someone could have told you before you started your journey to your position right now? What's something that may have helped? Probably the only thing which, I don't know, not in terms of technical knowledge, but in terms of, I guess, when I first started, young, only 22 years old now, all my friends back home, they were, going out and partying and everything, and weekend doing fun stuff, and, you'd always see photos on social media and shit of them having a good time, and you're stuck in a little fucking camp room, doing nothing. That really got to me at the start. But I really sort of learned, I notice a lot more now. It's the same shit every weekend. Every night, go out, get pissed, wake up Sunday, feel like shit. And I guess at the start of the job, that really got to me. The fact that they were out having a good time and I was stuck up here, But as time went on, I kind of learned myself that they're doing the same shit every weekend and they're not going anywhere, not that that's a rag on your mates, sorry boys. But it was just it was just something that I probably should have been more wary of at the start.
Yeah, okay.
But I really let it get me, sort of thing. And I got sort of down that I was missing out on that sort of shit.
Yeah, right.
At times I wanted to, get out and go home and just fucking have a good time. But now I know that, it's good that I'm here and I'm making money and I'm doing things in my life.
Yeah.
Rather than just pissing it all up the wall.
Nice. On next week's episode, Nick's back for part 2 of his interview, where he goes into greater detail about how he manages with people who don't necessarily want to cooperate. If you have any comments, questions or feedback for Nick or myself, please leave them in the comments box below. Don't forget to subscribe and find us on Facebook and Instagram. Here's a preview of next week.
It's not very enlightening, I guess.
Yeah.
It's quite depressing, actually.
Yeah.
A bad situation, I guess. If you're stuck financially, maybe you might have to, but there's no point.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.